Hello, beautiful. Welcome to today's conversation, where we're going to talk about how my children's intervention helped me break the stigma I had about mental illness, which helped me have a conversation with myself, making a final decision to begin my path to mental wellness. I hope my story will inspire you to do the same. I am your host, Shannon Martin, and welcome to today's episode of This Thing Called Wellness. Getting past the stigma. The day my family chose to do an intervention was the turning point in my life. It was a day I changed my ideas about what it meant to have a mental illness, what I was thinking, what I had been told, and how I felt about getting help. One day during the summer, I noticed my kids doing something strange. They were all hanging around my door, all three of them. It was summer break, y'all, and my sons were true gamers. My daughter, on the other hand, she was an early riser. That's just how she rolled. And I thought it was just very strange for them to just be hanging around my door. Why weren't they gaming? Why weren't they at school or at work? They were looking at their cell phones in a little huddle outside my room, but I didn't give it much thought. I thought they were just looking at a video or doing sibling stuff. I had just finished my usual rounds of waking up, going to the bathroom, getting a snack, probably a sandwich, and grabbing everything I needed so I didn't have to leave my room again for a while. At this time, I was still feeling very exhausted. So I collected my things and went back to my room to finish eating. I was about to go back to sleep when I realized my kids were i- looking at me. They were in my room, standing at the foot of my bed, and asked, "Hey, Mom, how are you feeling?" I said, "Oh, I'm just a little tired, but I'm fine." They then said, "Well, you shouldn't be tired because you've been sleeping for 17 hours." I kid you not, I sat up like a zombie and said, "That's not possible. There's only 24 hours in a day." Now I know what they were doing outside my door. Concerns of my children. I didn't know that they were taking turns taking notes about everything I did on their cell phones, how long I did it, when I did it, and how long I slept. They came right out and said, "Mom, this is what you've been doing for however long you've been doing." I just sat there with a mouth open. How can this be? I am really sleeping my life away. But it was right there in black and white. My sons watched what I did at night, and my daughter watched what I did during the day. When they had enough evidence, they decided it was time to intervene. So all three of my little cubs sat on the bed and talked to me for more than an hour, making sure I didn't fall back to sleep, talking with me and asked me what I was going to do. They told me they had been watching me, as I could see, but were concerned and wanted to know what I was going to do because they missed me. The strength of a family, like the strength of an army, lies in this loyalty to each other. Mario Puzo. Discussion within. After we finished our conversation, my husband came in and sat on the edge of the bed, just like the kids did. I knew the kids had gone down and talked to their dad. He says, "Well, the kids are worried, and so am I. They beat me to the punch and spoke to you before I could. I thought you'd get better on your own, but I can see that's not happening," he said. "I don't know how to help you, babe, and it bothers me. All I can do is pray for you and do my best to keep the house running. But I have to ask you to get some help. If you don't go on your own, I will have to step in. And this is me stepping in." And on the other hand, it meant he was going to have to talk to my mom, which I later found out he already had done so because she too was worried. They were going to find a facility where I could get help. This is when I realized how bad I was. And that night I had a conversation with myself. I asked God to help me figure out what I needed to do. I know that I didn't fully try medication, And because of the stigma, I didn't even think about treatment. This time I just asked, what should I do? And I waited. After crying, praying, and sleeping on it, I made the decision that I had to do this for myself. This was the path I had to take, my path towards feeling better. No one else was suffering. They weren't in the bed, not spending time with their children or husbands, dealing with this crippling illness that no one understood or was trying to understand, other than the fact that you must be crazy if you have depression or anxiety, need medication or counseling. I had to stop listening to other people and start thinking about myself. I had to choose me. That day I made the decision to try. I wanted to thrive. Mindful moment. Today we talked about how I had to make a difficult decision. Before I could see how bad my situation was, my children had taken the first steps for me. I was headed down a dark path that I may not have recovered from. My loved ones saw the storm and came in to help me pull out of it. If this happens to you, I pray that you have loved ones who will step in and pull you out of the storm. Take your time to think about your mental state and which steps you should take. If you believe in a higher power, pray. If you meditate, meditate. If you need to make a list of pros and cons, create one. But make the decision for yourself. No one is living your life, and no one else is hurting but you. Choose yourself, and remember to take each day as it comes. The most important thing is to make the decision to start. I hope you have enjoyed this week's conversation. I am your host, Shannon Martin. Join us next Wednesday when we talk about seeking help, therapy, and medication. If you enjoyed today's conversation, please share with someone you think would like to join us. Disclaimer: I am not a licensed mental health professional. The information provided here is for general informational purposes only and should not be considered a substitute for professional mental health advice, diagnosis, or treatment. If you need help, please consult a qualified mental health professional.